Hello, my name's Laura, I'm 20 and I'm from North Wales and I'm going to be talking about my anxiety.
Hi Laura, oedd fi a Laura yn yr un ysgol ac yn ffrindiau mawr. I just said me and Laura were in the same school and we were big friends. We went to Welsh school. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about anxiety, as Laura said. So how were you affected by mental health?
So it's affected me, I'd say over the past 5 or 6 years, without knowing that it's had a real effect on me. It's had an effect on me like physically, mentally, just in everything I do. Like it's had an effect on me in some way. Before I even knew I had anxiety, I really struggled with it, but understanding it more and learning more about it and just educating myself about it in general has really helped me, not getting over it but managing it, definitely.
That's really good to hear. I think that's the same with me, like learning about it and what its effects are like such a big part of feeling a bit better, even as you said, still dealing with it. So how has it actually shown up in your life? Can you give some examples?
Yeah, so when I was in school, there wasn't much going on about anxiety. Like I didn't really know anything about it, and I'd just get so emotional and just overwhelmed by the littlest things that people would think I'm being dramatic, or it would just get so overwhelming for me. And you feel like nobody has ever felt that feeling and nobody understands you. And it was my best friend Kyra, she pointed it out to me. Like I was in her bathroom and we were like getting ready for a night out, and I was getting so just worked up about everything and just like worried. And she was like, do you think it might have something to do with anxiety? And then that's when I started to like look into it, when I was about 16, 17 maybe. And ever since then, I think, like, not putting a label on it, but understanding what I had and that it was normal, because I didn't like the thought of not being normal, like putting a label on something. Like that is so negative to me, because I was so negative about my anxiety, and it was just something that nobody could help me with. And it was just, but I've got such a different, like, I think about it in such a different way now. And yeah, just having that and understanding it had really helped me deal with it in my life, because it had like physical effects on me. I had severe panic attacks and insomnia, just like everything you get with anxiety, the chest pains, I get fidgety when I get nervous, so I like play with my nails, or like just get really like play with my hair. Like it's just had an effect on me in that way as well. And even when I didn't know it was anxiety, like I had stomach pains, back pains, and I thought they were like health related, not with my mental health obviously. So I'd be going to the doctors and just not understanding why they couldn't find out what was wrong with me. And then after more research into it, finding that there's nothing wrong with me physically, it's just my mental health. And to me that was like something like I didn't understand how my mental health could have an effect on my physical health, because I wasn't like eating properly and I wasn't sleeping properly, and I thought, oh, it's something to do with my hormones or this and that, but it wasn't. And understanding that and managing it, it's just been a blessing to know that that's what's causing it, and that I can actually help myself because I know what it is.
That's just so good to hear, like the like knowledge about it and understanding its like physical effects has really helped you, because I think the physical effects are like massive and quite not really talked about. And I think it's easier to blame them on physical things than to like look at what's going on inside. How else have you been helped, and who else have you like been able to open up to?
So I decided that the best thing for me to do was to just tell my parents and try and see what they think about it, or get their perspective. And I remember sitting on the table and just started crying uncontrollably, telling them that I think I've got anxiety. And that was just so terrifying. And the response I got wasn't what I expected. It was more, what are you talking about? Why are you being so dramatic? Like, nothing's wrong with you, you're fine. And I think that's a massive thing in the Welsh community, that they shy away from it. And I think in my community as well, like in the Welsh community, it's a taboo. You don't talk about it. It's something that gets looked down on, sort of thing. It's like, oh, she's got mental health, she gets put into that box. Like, we don't talk about that. Like, it's not a problem. Oh, my daughter can't have anxiety. No way. Like, she can't deal with mental health. Like, that's just something that's not happening here. But that's so wrong, because so many people deal with it. Everyone deals with mental health in their life. Like, they'll go through their life and they'll deal with something, or they'll struggle with something. That's completely normal. You wouldn't, like, people who say like they haven't struggled with mental health, I think they're lying. Because everyone goes through it, and some people feel it deeper, some people go through it like for longer, but it's just understanding it. And I think that's what I struggled with my parents not even being open to trying to understand what I was going through. So I think that made things difficult for me. So I had to hide it when I came home, deal with it by myself, and then just be expected to be normal. And I think it's just so hard to deal with it by yourself when you've got no knowledge of it and you're trying to manage it without the tools that you've got. And I think that's what I was trying to do. So I'd like pretend that nothing was bothering me, and I'd put such a front on, and then obviously like behind closed door that I'd just have a meltdown. Like, speaking about it more to people come forward and say I've got anxiety, and you're like, oh my gosh, I would have never told. Like, it's crazy, because the most confident people can come across like they're fine, but they can have anxiety. Like, I was reading something about a police officer who had an anxiety, and he said in it like that he's like 6 foot tall, and he's like, he can go to anything, he can go to a disturbance, he can go to life and death situations, fine. But if his friend doesn't text him back, or, you know, like if he sees someone in the street that he knows and he doesn't say hi, like, he'll worry about that, and he'll like worry deeply about that. And I think that's like the misconception, that people think people with anxiety are afraid of everything, and they're not. Like, I work like it's called like communications operator for North Wales Police. So I'll work on like 999 calls, and I also dispatch the officers to the jobs, like to immediate blah blah blah. And it's like a really intense job. I think you'll take like 999 calls, something like really serious, and then you'll go then and speak to, I don't know, little old Sue who's lost her purse. Like, there's like, you have to jump from one thing to another, and then you have to like dispatch like really immediate things, like that's serious. And to do that doesn't bother me. Like, I'll deal with loads of things in the day, like really bad crashes and stuff like that. It doesn't bother me. But the things that bother me are like the little things, like how somebody just spoke to me then. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, do they like me? Like, why are they being rude? Like, that's the thing that bother me. And it's crazy, like, to go from like coming into work like worried about something or stressing about something, I just have to drop it and just do that job. And I love the job that I do. It doesn't affect me in that way, but I find that I deal with more mental health calls than anything else. We attend more mental health jobs than we should. Like, that should be the ambulance, but they're so overworked with like how many mental health calls they get that we end up attending. And I think it just shows really how like the stigma in North Wales for mental health, it is there, and it's you know, you can see it from my perspective, that anyway, I see it more than anyone. Like, it is there, and I think there needs to be more done. And I know that people are trying, like, but I know especially when I was finishing school, I tried to get help when I was still in school but finishing, and I was told that I'd need to get help from my doctor, I'd need to go myself, which was like terrifying, because for someone who has anxiety, they don't want to go ring the doctor. That's so weird as well, because like I work as a call handler who can't even ring my doctor. But yeah, so once I went to my doctor anyway, and it was a 2-year waiting list, which is like, it can really knock you back when, you know, you're pouring your heart out to your doctor, you're saying how you feel, you're saying all these things, and then he's saying, oh, it's a 2-year waiting list, by the way, yeah, we'll put you on meds for you to wait. And I was just thinking, no, that can't happen. That can't be it. But I'm so lucky that with the job I'm in, I was able to get referred to a therapist like quicker. And if you've got money, or if you've got like a job like that, or I know teachers get the same, that's amazing. But if you don't have that, then what are you left with? 2-year waiting list. And in 2-year gap, a lot of things can change. Because if I was speaking to you 2 years ago, I wouldn't be saying anything. I would be silent. I would just feel the same way I was feeling. And I've tried like counselors, I've tried medication. Like medication just numbed me, and I'd rather feel everything than feel nothing. That's just me personally, because I care about like people deeply, and if I can't do that, then that's like, I just can't imagine not feeling anything. So medication didn't work for me. Counselling, it worked to an extent, but you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with that person. Because I said to my boyfriend not long ago, like, counselling for me, I wasn't honest enough with the counsellor. So I wasn't actually saying to her how I actually felt. I was saying to her what I thought she wanted to hear from me. I wasn't open and honest because I knew I only had like 6 or 7 sessions that were like free. And I'd be like counting, like, I've only got 6 hours. There's no point talking about it in the 5th session because I've only got 2 left. She's not going to solve my problems in two days, is she? Like, that's how I think. Like, I think with anxiety, especially, like, you do count things. Like, I'm going, oh, how many friends have I got? Like, oh, okay, I've got that many friends. Like, it's fine. Like, I have to reassure myself all the time about everything. So, like, say if I go to work at 9 tonight, I'll start getting myself mentally prepared for it now. Like, even though it's early, like, it's just something like a coping mechanism. And one of the best coping mechanism for me is watching RuPaul's Drag Race. Yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? I think finding the right therapist does take a long time. I've been to 3 different therapists, and I've even been for what's it called, hypnotherapy as well. I've tried that out. It's just what works for you, really. And I think definitely CBT has helped me a lot, understanding my thoughts more, because I felt everything, not understanding why I felt it. So I'd cry not knowing why I'm crying, but now I understand more why I feel the way I'm feeling, and addressing it early can help prevent that massive breakdown when you don't talk about it. And I think that's really important. And yeah, like I said, in my community, because they don't talk about it, I thought that's the way that I'm supposed to go about it. But I just want to break that and say, no, anyone who wants to speak about it, because I promise you'll do more good than bad. Because people will look at you then and say, well, she can do it, then I should be able to do it. I think because there's such a stigma about it and people are afraid, but people are only afraid because they don't know about it. If they educate themselves and actually listen to what people have to say, because talking about it makes such a difference. Because I've looked up about anxiety. Yeah, you can look up all you want and it says, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that. And no, speaking to people about it has been the best thing, because I'll speak to people about it and they'll tell me their experiences and how they'll deal with it, and that is just the best. Like, you don't have to be any certain type of person to have anxiety. It doesn't fit into like any form. You can be anyone and have it. So just speak about it, because I guarantee you someone you'll know has gone through it and has like managed to manage their anxiety better, and not overcome it, but manage it better. And that's the end goal. Like, that's what I want to achieve, is like managing it. Actually getting someone to speak about it with you and like give you the confidence to talk about it, that's just amazing. And it's patience more than anything. And my friends and family and my boyfriend have so much patience with me when it comes to my anxiety, because I'm really difficult when I get into that headspace. I get really negative about everything, and that because I've learned to deal with it on my own. Well, learned to deal with it. I haven't really dealt with it on my own, but thinking that's the right way to deal with it, and dealing with it now in that way, it's not the best. But somebody saying what's wrong isn't enough. It's trying to get the conversation going, and then once the conversation's going, you can't shut them up. Like once I start speaking about it and get comfortable talking about it, there's no shutting me up. I wish I was told that, you know, it's okay to have anxiety. It doesn't make you any less of a person to talk about it. Not talking about it is so much worse, and I think I found that out the hard way. You know, I'd keep it in and not talk about it, and it would just have more of an effect on me, to be honest. I would just stay with like friends and keep myself occupied, and I think doing that, I didn't have time to think about it, and I didn't have time to address the situation. I'd just stay away from it and keep doing all the things I was doing, but it was making me worse. So I think if I was told that it's okay to feel the way you feel, and all the feelings that come with it, and that's fine, you just need to talk about it and don't shy away from it. Before this, I was having like, I couldn't sleep thinking about doing it. I wrote so many notes, like I even showed you before, like all my little notes that I wrote. Like I want people to know that it's okay to feel the way that you're feeling. It's just having someone to understand it and just be honest about how you're feeling. That's all you can do. Like when we were in school, everything was like black and white, and you had your Welshies and Townies, your boys and your girls, and if you fitted into that category, like you went into that category. And from speaking to my younger siblings, I know that's changed so much now, and it's just so nice to hear like that everyone's more open to everything, and like the teachers are open about mental health. Like they've got more support, they've got people coming in and talking about certain things, and it's just an eye-opener now. Like they get to be educated about these things, and there's like transgender people, there's a lot more equality and diversity, and it's nice to hear that. Like when I look back at when I was in school, I'm like, I didn't know anything about that. Like I knew about mental health after I suffered with it, but only about depression and anxiety. I didn't know that there was more levels to it and other things to it. But my sister's like telling me that, you know, they get to talk about it, and they've got people in there supporting them, which I think is just amazing, and it's really nice.
That's like made my day. I'm so happy to hear that, because like you said, it wasn't when we were there, and I don't think anyone's to blame. It's like lack of resources, lack of funding. There's so many issues with that.
In the Welsh community, they've got like this stigma amongst farmers, and farmers work by themselves a lot of the time, so they don't open up about it, and they do deal with it by themselves, like a farmer syndrome, like mental health sort of thing, that it doesn't get talked about. So these farmers like work by themselves, and then they don't like see many people, and it can have a like detrimental effect on their mental health that isn't talked about, because they'll go to the pub and like laugh and blah blah blah, but they, at the end of the day, they're not seeing anyone or talking to anyone about their mental health, which is something that needs to change really. And I'm so glad that the DPJ Foundation is coming to light. Like the DPJ Foundation is just doing amazing work with helping spread awareness and support. The more people know about it, the better. And yeah, my friends are doing amazing work for it now, raising money for them as well, which I think is amazing. And I just like more people to know about it, because there's not a lot covered on it, because people don't really know, but it does affect farmers in North Wales and in other areas as well, that people don't really know about.
I'll like share it too, and hopefully, you know, spread the word, because I think that's exactly the kind of thing that we need in North Wales, because like you said, there is a lot of stigma, and I think, you know, the more awareness and the more money that we can raise for it is just so important, because like you said, like there's just such a lot of people on the waiting list and not enough money, which is just, it's just so bad. Like it needs
why can your physical health take priority over your mental health? It shouldn't be like that. If I suffer with chest pains, I can go to a, you know, like specialist for that. Why isn't it the same with mental health? It should be. It should definitely be.
oh, shouldn't it? Because I also went to the doctor with like so many physical things, and I think that, yeah, you're always taken a lot more seriously with a lot more dignity and respect. And as soon as it's mental, it's like you're dramatic or you're attention seeking or you're just taking the piss, but you're not.
Yeah. Because you can't see it. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
So thank you so much for opening up today. It's been really, really helpful for spreading awareness. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Diolch, Mairead.